Trump is not interested in what the law is.
Yeah.
He rather enjoys breaching it.
Dominic, let's step away from British politics. I was really interested in your column in the Sunday Times yesterday. There's obviously a lot of sort of international concern about what Donald Trump Mark II back in the White House looks like. Trump's saying on the verge of World War III. You write that maybe there's just the hint of reason for optimism?
Well, only this, that of course there's great terror in Whitehall and probably elsewhere at the thought of Trump, wanting to be friends with Putin, which he always seemed to do. But my feeling is he's only interested in Putin or admires Putin because Putin is seen as a winner. And that I'm not sure that's really a perception that he might currently hold. And I spoke to one person involved in this, and he made an interesting point, which I didn't put in the article, that one of the things which is possible and is very important is whether the world can seize the $350 billion equivalent in Russian bank assets currently frozen to actually pass them to Ukraine. And that's purely a cash transaction. And it's opposed by the Fed and the European Central Bank on the grounds that it's maybe a breach of law. Well, of course, Trump is not interested in what the law is.
Yeah.
He rather enjoys breaching it. And it would be a huge deal. It would be a mega deal. And so some people I spoke to in the British government said that this was a possible way that he could actually be helpful. But of course, nonetheless, they're terrified at his idea that he could somehow solve the war in Ukraine in one day. But of course, in fact, he won't and he can't. And it is, I think, doomed to carry on for years.
What do you make of this, Rachel? Because actually, in terms of, obviously, who is the Prime Minister in the UK is a big deal for people in the UK, but who is in the White House could have a bigger global impact.
Absolutely. And I thought Dominic's point was really interesting about he wants to be associated with winners, although it is certain kinds of winners, hard men winners. And I wonder if it's Keir Starmer who's the winner of the British election, whether Trump will want to cozy up to him. I suspect not if he gets to the White House. But it does have a sort of real wider ramifications because it would be, if he did get there, back to the sort of America first. So it would be America stepping away from international engagement and turning inwards with massive ramifications for all kinds of areas. And also, I think we sort of hold up America as this shining light on the hill, a beacon of democracy. But, Trump basically rejects all of those things. He tried to overturn or backed overturning an election result. He's not a Democrat in the way that we like to celebrate. And that's a sort of huge sort of threat to that democratic liberal world order, actually.
I suppose the problem is as well, Dominic, if you're dealing with any other politician, you would look at what they're saying before they get into office and assume that there would be a thread of continuity with how they then acted in office. But it's because he is so unpredictable. He says one thing one day and one thing, the opposite the next. It's just hard to it's sort of like trying to get a grip on jelly.
Yeah, no, I mean, volatility is his middle name. And of course, again, trying to look on the bright side, I suppose that the free world's foes, if one could put it like that, would be nervous of Trump precisely because he's utterly unpredictable. Funnily enough, just going back to Ukraine, and one thing I also didn't put in the article, but one of the people in the British government said, which was that it's partly because of Zelensky, who kind of doesn't look like Trump's kind of guy. And he said, if only Vitaly Klitschko, who was, of course, Zelensky's rival, was there, who's a sort of 2-meter tall ex-boxing champion, then Trump would be much more friendly to Ukraine.